What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Break Room, brought to you by Life of Gaming. Water cooler conversation in your face. And I don't know what Brant is doing, but it is disgusting. Oh, man.
Brant is unhinged tonight. I do not know what's going on.
He is enjoying himself.
Man.
Well, Chris, this week, something got announced that I think got us all excited. I don't know how Brant.
Let's just say that all of my dreams came true, and then they were shattered at the exact same time.
He wet himself, then white.
All right, can we switch Josh's mic off? I don't know what's happening. I think he's broken.
I'll help you.
Capcom.
I think he's broken.
Okay, continue.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Capcom came out and announced they're making it's called the Disney Afternoon Collection, or what's the official name of it?
I think that's right. Yes.
And it has all these classic NES games. It's got DuckTales 1 and 2, Chip and Dale 1 and 2, Tailspin, and Darkwing Duck. Right?
Oh gosh.
I mean, it is a fantastic collection. It comes out in April, I believe, right? In April.
I can't wait to play it on the Switch.
Right. But the problem is they only announced it for Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4.
I'm sorry, what now? You said Switch?
Right. I said anything but Switch right now for some reason. So first of all, let me ask you, why does this upset you so much?
Well, on so many levels. Like these are NES games, number one. Like they found their home on Nintendo. And the fact, listen, it isn't even that they didn't even announce it for Switch. There's no Nintendo console at all. It's not on 3DS. It's not on Wii U. It's just skipping Nintendo completely. And this is where the games were released. The other thing, though, is these are games, like this is my childhood, right? I joke around. My childhood it starts with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it kind of ends with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then right in the middle was Disney's Power Hour. And Disney's Power Hour were these four shows: Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, Tailspin, and Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, back to back to back to back. And I would watch them every single day. I absolutely love those shows. I own the box sets on DVD, which I force my kids to watch them. And some of them
you will enjoy this.
Some of them don't really hold up, They don't necessarily hold up to the animation styles of today. When we watch things like Gravity Falls together, and then I'm like, now watch your Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. They're like, oh, this is rough. I can just imagine them they're like, he's gonna die soon. We'll just humor him for a while. But just shows that I love so much. So when they announced this collection, and what I love about it is it's not just like the games being repurposed. They added a rewind mode, which I love about Rare Replay on Xbox, which lets you, especially some of those games. Darkwing Duck is super hard, so is DuckTales in a lot of places. So I mean, to be able to rewind, when you die and stuff, like that's super cool. They added a boss rush mode, where you can just go through all the bosses in each of the games, and they added a speed like speed run, I think is what they called it. But basically, it kind of turns half of your screen into like a speed run clock, so you can kind of challenge yourself to speed run the game. And it's just like they're putting care into these games, and they look fantastic. The trailer looked really, really great, and I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, this is like everything that I want. And then the splash screen at the end, Xbox, PlayStation 4, Steam, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I went straight to Twitter and was like, what the heck is up, Capcom? But yeah, so it's disappointing.
Now, do you think this has anything to do with Virtual Console, like NES game Virtual Console? Do you think there's something there stopping it? Because some people wonder if that's why the Mega Man collection never came to Wii U. It came to PS4 and Xbox One, but on Wii U, they had all the Mega Man games already. We had to buy them individually. Now I know they don't have those games on the Virtual Console yet, but do you think maybe that's why it's not coming to Switch? Because they're trying to piecemeal all this together and sell them individually on the Virtual Console, maybe.
I think there's a possibility of that. I would be very disappointed if what we get, if that is the case, what we get is just a very standard port. and not this like more detailed package. That would be pretty disappointing. The other thing I didn't mention is there's also like just like with the Mega Man collection, there's like this virtual booklet that you can go through, like concept images and stuff for the games, and like that kind of stuff I love that stuff with the Mega Man Legacy collection. So I would love to see stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, there's a possibility. We still don't know what Virtual Console is going to look like,
right?
And so, there's definitely a possibility that Nintendo could be working up, hey, at launch, all these games that you're talking about, you can buy them all individually, and there may be a way to squeeze a little more money that way. I don't know that I'm happy about that, but it could be a possibility.
Cool. Well, Brant, let me ask you a quick question. Well, kind of a quick question, right? With this, we had the announcement this week of the Capcom Disney Collection not coming to Switch. The people that make South Park: The Fractured But Whole said it is not coming to Switch. People that make Mass Effect, it is not coming to Switch. Is Switch in trouble, at least with third-party support? Because with Wii U, all these games come out, not come to Wii U, not come to Wii U, not come to Wii U. And for the last few generations, Nintendo's had a big problem getting third-party games onto their systems. Do you see this as a problem going forward for the Switch? Are we just going to fall back in the same trap? Because like when the Wii U launched, we got Batman, we got Mass Effect, we got all these things at launch, right? And on Switch, we got Skyrim coming, we have NBA 2K coming, we've got FIFA coming. But is that just like the first year, and they're just going to completely drop support all over again?
Well, the way I look at it is, I think they're doing the right thing. They're not catering to those big third-party publishers, and they're focusing all things on their first party, which they have a timeline of each individual one releasing, and then they have the indie titles coming out. They have a great slate of indie titles coming out, and I think they need to keep rounding up all those indie games that they can that run just as fine on the PS4, that make not much of a difference graphically, and put those on the Switch, like Yooka-Laylee. That's not a graphically intensive game, but it can run great on the Switch. And yeah, I mean, speaking of which Chris is saying, the Disney collection should be on the Switch, and we don't even know. It could down the line come on it. Mm-hmm. Like I Am Setsuna and Stardew Valley. I already bought those on the PS4, but now that I hear about them coming to the Switch, I might buy Stardew Valley again because I want to take it on the go with me, even though I bought it at the time because I did not know it was coming to the Switch. So there's still the possibility down the line that some of these less graphically intensive games can come to the Switch. And I don't think it's in trouble because I think this is a better system. The Wii U is just crap. Sorry to all the people that love the Wii U. I hated that I could not get into the tablet. It was a bad concept. This is a whole new thing, and it's a neat piece of tech, and I think people would rather just hope they had achievements or trophies or some type of reward system with their games, and then you have everything you want in the Switch, and you take it on the go, and I'd rather play that on the go than on my PS4, like any indie title. So
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, James.
No, I was just gonna. Well, no, go ahead. Go ahead and do your thought.
Well, that's right. So I was just gonna say that I do think that Capcom Collection is gonna come to Switch, and I do think we're gonna see more games that maybe haven't been announced yet. I think about Snake Pass, which is Sumo's next game. That looks great. It's a kind of a mascot physics-based platformer. Looks really, really cool, and I really like Sumo. Those guys are great. But they announced that game. That game was ready for PlayStation and for Xbox, and but then they have a good relationship with Nintendo, and so they announced that it was coming. And in development, or in kind of interviews with them, the developers said that it took them a few weeks to be able to get that game running up on Switch. What I think that we're seeing now is we're seeing the drop off of developers not making games for Wii U because the Wii U didn't sell, but not being prepared to make games for the Switch yet. So when you think of something like, even if you think of like the Fractured Butthole, right?
Yeah. Butthole.
Yeah, the Fractured Butthole. So if you think about that, there's a possibility that if the Wii sold well and was doing well, that game could definitely run on a on a Wii U, right? But it wasn't selling well. So whenever they decided to make the game, they're like, we're not even going to worry about the Wii U. So then when Switch comes out, and Switch is actually off to a really good start, but now it's a little too late to just say, yes, we're going to come to Switch. Now, is there a possibility that after the Fractured Butthole comes out, that maybe 6 months down the road, they're like, we could actually see making some money if we put it on Switch? That is a possibility. I do appreciate that they're not leading people on. They're coming out and saying we're not putting it on Switch because that's not their plan right now. But I do think that could change. But I think that's kind of the same thing with Capcom. Capcom wasn't planning to put this on Wii U because it's not going to sell on Wii U. Or it won't sell a lot because there's not a lot out there. So now, because it's not prepared for a Nintendo system, there's not just an easy fix to say, oh yeah, we'll definitely put it on Switch. Even Ukulele, which it was going to run on Wii U, they decided to completely cancel it. But even at that point, they didn't say for sure where they were going to have a Switch release right away. They had to wait and see. And then, of course, they saw that it was easy to put the game over, and they announced it was coming to Switch. So I do think that you'll see Capcom, especially these games because they are NES games, I do think we will see that collection come over. I just wish they would say something about it because, I'm staring at April now and seriously considering buying this on my Xbox One, which I don't want to play, but I really want to play these games. So if by the time we hit launch, if they haven't at least said that a Switch version is in the works, I may go ahead and spring for this on Xbox because I really want it.
Sure. And one thing, at least, they use excuse on the Wii U version saying, oh, it's coming late. Why would I want that now? I can already get it on my Xbox. I can already get it on my PlayStation.
Sure.
Are people going to use that same excuse again?
I mean, the average gamer will definitely. But I said, I think I may even said this in the chat. Like, I am more than happy to wait longer and pay an extra $10 for games that I can play on the Switch.
Yeah.
That's just where I am. If Capcom came out and said, okay, we're going to release it in April everywhere else, but in June, we're going to put it on Switch and it's going to cost $10 more, I would buy it day one in June, $10 more.
Right,
Capcom, if you're listening, I will send you a check for an extra $10 if you just put that game on Switch.
It's worth it. It makes that much of a difference that it's worth it.
So Brant, you feel that, because, that's another complaint that's popping up online. Rhyme, right? And I'm trying to think what else is, other games are coming out on Switch elsewhere. But they all cost $10 more on Switch. And the main reason, at least what people are coming up with, is the cartridge. Because it costs less to make the disc than it does to make the cartridge. But you think that the Switch is worth the extra $10?
Certainly, yeah. It just depends on what you want more. Like, some people want the achievements or trophies, so they'll buy whatever title for that platform. But for me, I just rather just have something like the Switch where I can take it on the go. And like for any game, and the big AAA third-party titles like Mass Effect and whatever else aren't going to come to the Switch, but that's okay because I think they have an idea of where they need to market. And if they can try to get every single one of these big indie titles to their platform, it'll be all right, and I'll gladly pay more money for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
My only concern, at least, because Facebook and the message boards, they're all kind of like a bubble, right? It's the loudest gamers that, want to complain the loudest. But it seems like there's a lot of complaint about, I'm not going to pay the extra $10. That's crazy. Why would I pay $10 more on Switch? And even things like Rhyme. Like, I'm really looking forward to Rhyme. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's $10 more. I could get it on my Xbox for $30. And for me, it's a little different because myself, as you guys know, and I've mentioned multiple times on the show, my Switch is a docked console, right? For the most part. I do play handheld occasionally.
That still blows my mind.
I have no reason to take it. Why would I pick it out of the dock and just take it around my house? Like that,
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Right, but you also play a lot of Taco Bell and you take it to work. And you do,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think for the Nintendo faithful people, such as ourselves, it won't be a problem. Because I know I'm still going to buy the stuff on Switch, right? But I feel like for the average consumer, when they go into a GameStop, when they go into Walmart, when they go, wherever, and they think, well, I can get it on my Xbox for $30, or I can pay $10 more for the Switch. I think some people can have a hard time justifying the extra $10.
Sure, and that's always that's always with everything.
Sure.
Some people have a hard time justifying the price of a $300 console, that launches and doesn't have great battery life, and is missing key online components like cloud saves, and I mean, there's a number of things that you could look at and say the same thing about the Switch. Like that's your choice, and I agree. For a docked consumer, it would make absolutely no sense to go $10 more. But if that is the tax that I have to pay to have it portable, I literally only plug my Switch in when I'm going to stream. If I am not streaming or game capture, getting game capture for a review or something, that thing, it never touches the dock unless it's charging. Like, I play constantly. Like, I will sit in this chair in front of two 27-inch monitors, and I will play it in my hands right here in my chair. I love the feel of the console. That's how I like to play. So I don't mind paying the luxury tax. I guess the bigger issue that I have, and I understand that it's not something that they can fix, but they've kind of come out, a few developers, and I think it was actually I don't remember exactly where I saw it at, but if it's out there. But basically, they will not allow them. You mentioned that the extra $10 was cartridge based, and it may have even been the Rime developers that said that they are not allowed to lower the digital version. It has to be the exact same price as the retail version. Now that to me is a slight problem. And again, I will still gladly pay the extra $10 because I want to play it on my Switch. But being a digital consumer, I do kind of wish Nintendo would loosen that a little bit. If there is a $10 charge for having it physical, still allowing the digital gamers to be able to have the value of getting it for the same price, because there are very few games that I'm going to buy physical, and so that would actually be able to kind of justify that a little bit. And the fact that Nintendo's doing that, I understand why they're doing it, not to make retailers upset. They're trying to make sure that relationship stays good, but that's kind of a disappointment. But again, don't misunderstand. I will pay an extra $10 for Rime, and I would pay it for Capcom in a heartbeat.
Sure, and I think we all would. I mean, I would as well. But I guess just to kind of tie off this conversation, Nintendo's had a lot of problems with third parties in the past, right? I guess two quick questions. First question: will they have better third party support this generation than they did last generation?
Yeah, I believe so. Because for the third, I think they're hitting on the indie scene, and then I don't think they're trying to get the PS4, Xbox One games over to the Switch. They'll have more exclusive-based titles, and if they do have titles coming from those two major other platforms, it'll be a sports game like FIFA or NBA, something that doesn't really matter as much. So I think they learned all their mistakes from the Wii U, and well, I hope so, but I can't imagine them not screwing this up. So, yeah.
So look, this all comes down to two things. It comes down to install base, and it comes down to attach rate. It seems like the Wii Switch is off to a really strong start. It seems like games are selling pretty well. I mean, Zelda has like close to a 90% attach rate, which obviously that game is brilliant. So as long as you see attach rate, as long as you see install base, you'll see that come over. I still don't think you'll see it until year 2 or 3. I think that right now publishers are in a wait and hold pattern, and so I think that they got burned. They worked hard to get Mass Effect and Batman, the games you mentioned, Zombie U, right at launch for Wii U, and those there was diminished returns because everybody bought the Wii U and they bought Nintendo software. That's just what they did. And so So I think it's a wait and see. I think that they want to see that the Nintendo gamers or Switch owners, let's say Switch owners, are going to buy more than just Nintendo games. And as soon as they see that reflected, I do think you'll see an influx of third-party games. And I actually think you'll see some big exclusive titles. Like I could see maybe by year 3 or 4, Ubisoft and maybe even EA releasing Switch only games. Now again, they're going to have to not be as powerful as Xbox and PlayStation games, so that's why it's going to be retooled. But I'm talking about like I could see a world where you're getting Assassin's Creed whatever, and then you're getting like Assassin's Creed Rogue, if you will,
right,
sure. like the lesser game, but still an excellent game that you can only play on Switch. And I'm okay with that. I'm super cool because I do have the luxury of having an Xbox, and so if I wanted to play the more graphic intensive games, I have that ability. But if I'm getting a comparable game that I can take on the go, like that's where I'm at right now. So
sure,
I'm okay with that.
Cool. And that actually answered the second question I was going to ask. I was going to say, what does Nintendo need to do to win back third parties? And I think you kind of answered it right there. But okay, guys, what do you think about third party support on the Switch? Do you think they're going to have better support this generation than on the Wii U? And what third party games do you want to see get brought over to the Switch? Are you excited for the Disney Capcom game? Let us know in the comments down below. And make sure to check out more content from the life of gaming. This has been another wonderful episode of The Break Room, casual water cooler conversation in your face. But until next time, guys, we are out.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this content from the life of gaming. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe down below. You can also catch our weekly podcast every Sunday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and the Google Play Store. You can find us on Twitter @LifeGamingPod and on Facebook. Until next time, we are out.